Hi, I'm Miss Bauer, and I grew up in Medellin, Colombia as a missionary kid with my parents. Missionaries who went to train pastors and church leaders. So my dad taught in a seminary there in Medellin, and he taught students from not only Colombia, but other countries around South America. While we were there, we actually lived on the campus where my dad taught with the students from the different areas. So we got to know the students really well, and I got very close to several of the students. As a matter of fact, I started my first teaching by teaching them, when I was 6, how to speak English. So they had some very simple English phrases that they could say. Many churches there are very different from churches that we go to here. A lot of the churches at the time we were there are called house churches. The congregation would meet in the pastor's home. Sunday schools would be in the different bedrooms, and they would have a room, often their living room, that they would move all the furniture out so that the whole congregation could get into the church.
Hi, this is Mrs. Atten, and I want to talk to you a little bit today about serving as a missionary before I came to LEHMAN. One night at church, the pastor had just spoken about missions, and I hadn't ever thought about being a missionary, and I just felt God like right there saying, you need to go. Mr. Atten and I served both in Africa and in Nepal for 1 year each. In Africa, we had to learn French, and in Nepal, we had to learn Nepali. When we were in Nepal, we didn't have any heat, and we were living at the base of the Himalayan mountains. So our favorite thing in the morning was to wait until the sun came out and heated up like a big stone, and then all the kids would run out and sit on the stone because we were freezing. I think just getting to know the native people, just making those connections and trying to learn a language in a year is really difficult, but just to really fall in love with the country and the people there, and to have those memories are really special.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Fleming, and I am originally from the Bahamas, but my family and I moved to the United States to work as missionaries. So I'm actually serving here in the U.S., right where you live. I was with my mom and dad and my brothers and sisters. There were 10 of us, and we came to serve God in a church to preach the gospel. I also sang in a group with my sisters. We would sing gospel songs to tell other boys and girls about Jesus. I am currently now an adult, of course, and now I work with my husband, who is a pastor. I also teach Vacation Bible School, and I teach little children at Ben Lippen School right here, and I also teach little children in the church.
Hi, I'm Ms. Fisher. I teach first grade here at Ben Lippen. My family and I, my husband, my 2 kids, Thomas and Becca, served in France for 2 years, and we spoke the language of French while we were there. What we were doing is kind of complex because we were working with a group of mission organizations who were trying to actually reach people in North Africa, and that's all the way across the Mediterranean Sea from France. But because we couldn't actually get into some of these countries, and we knew people who could, we did what we could best to equip those people to reach these others who had more in common with the people in these North African countries. I was a mom, and my kids were kids. What we felt our role was mainly while we were there too was to just reach our neighbors just like we do here at home in America. I loved living in France because it was right on the Mediterranean Sea, and an interesting fact was there were wonderful cliffs around there called the Calanques that my family used to go and hike to, and we would jump off, and it was really awesome. But my favorite memories involved meeting with other missionaries who were from countries all over the world and getting to know them. As a result, my own son is planning to be a missionary himself.
Hi, my name is Mary Gates. I lived in China, and I served there about 6 years with my family. We spoke Chinese there. I was called to missions probably when I became a Christian. I had a deep desire to follow Jesus. I was raised in a Christian home, and I saw my mom and dad following Jesus, and that made a big impact on my life. In China, we were teachers there in a school, and we were also making friends and meeting new people and sharing the love of Jesus through our lives.
Hi, my name is Miss Cornwell, and I want to tell you a little bit about Haiti. When I was a sophomore and junior in high school, my parents decided that the Lord was leading us to Haiti. My dad was principal of a English-speaking Christian school, and my mom taught kindergarten.
The school that we were in had a good academic program, and so even though people came from other countries that did not know the Lord, they wanted their children to have a good education. So it really opened the door where we could share the gospel with them, and so we taught Bible, and of course the plan of salvation was always in it, and many of the children became Christians, and even some of the families did too.
One of the things that really stood out to me as a teenager living in Haiti was how poor the people were. We would sometimes go into the different villages. One year I especially remember we took Christmas to a family. They had never opened presents before, they didn't know what they were, and they lived in one room. A little one-room hut is what we called them. I remember one thing was a set of sheets, and the children were so excited about getting a new set of sheets for their bed because they didn't have any. It made me realize how thankful I was for what I had and how these simple things meant the world to these children and families, and how important it was for us to share those with them.
Kids, what I really want you to know is that you can be a missionary regardless of your age. I became a missionary when I was 12, and at that time I didn't realize I was a missionary, but I was helping my mom and dad in our church, and I realized that God was using me to teach other boys and girls.
Really listen when the Bible's being taught to God's Word and not take it for granted, that we grow up in a place that is so different, and that maybe one day God will call you to minister overseas, to be a missionary, because it is a tremendous opportunity.